and it's going to be in two parts. Sorry. So, hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss another important topic. Now you'll say, हिमांशु हमेशा एक important topic discuss करते हैं. मतलब हर बार topic को important बोलते हैं, but no, this one is pretty important if you want to, survive into consulting for and do well in the consulting. Sorry, थोड़ा tough है. So, it's all about clinical trials. The video is going to be in two parts. Uh, you know, Today I'm going to discuss more of the theory about clinical trials, basics basically, and in the next video, I will show how to use clinicaltrial.gov and couple of other registry platforms, जहाँ पर जहाँ से आपको वो इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलती है. तो let's begin. Maybe ये वीडियो थोड़ा सा लंबा हो जाए, but again, bear with me because it's an important topic. Okay. So, moving about it. Before I talk about this slide, I'll talk about this slide. So, what are clinical trials? See, I've been to multiple interviews, and clinical trial is something which is being asked through and throughout. When जब मैंने इंटरव्यूज दिए हैं तब भी एंड जब मैं इंटरव्यूज लेता था तब भी clinical trial is a very important and very tricky topic. A lot of people get wrong. Whether you want to go into CI, strategy consulting, forecasting, या कुछ भी, within the healthcare pharma space specifically, if you want to go, clinical trial is something which is very important. Even if you say that, okay, मुझे consulting वाले business में जाना ही नहीं है, what I am going into marketing strategy, go to market strategy. So even for that also, clinical trials is a very important thing. Why I say that? Because see, clinical trial, थोड़ा सा बेसिक समझते हैं. क्लिनिकल ट्रायल इज एन हार्ट एंड सोल ऑफ एनी प्रोडक्ट, क्योंकि चाहे वो प्रोडक्ट एनसीई हो, जेनरिक हो, बायोलॉजिक हो, बायोसिमिलर हो, जीन थेरेपी हो, आरएनए हो, या कोई भी हो टेक्नोलॉजी, द प्रोडक्ट हैज टू गो थ्रू some sort of a trial, some sort of a testing phase basically. Even if you could talk about generics, the product has to go through some sort of testing. So it becomes very important. Plus, अगर आप marketing campaigns design कर रहे हो, या studies design कर रहे हो, media communication design कर रहे हो, again, importance of clinical trial cannot be neglected, and it is one of the most crucial phase of any product. So, okay. So one thing which usually people get wrong is difference between clinical and preclinical phase. Okay. So पहले preclinical की बात करते हैं. Preclinical is basically animal testing. अगर मैं बहुत बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन की बात करूं तो preclinical is animal testing, but to be very honest, it's not just animal testing. Preclinical is can be further assessed as in vitro and in vivo. As the name suggests, I hope you all know in vitro and in vivo क्या होता है. In vitro is basically in the culture, and in vivo is basically in the body, inside the body and outside the body, basically. So even here in this image, laboratory testing or laboratory study provides information on dosing and toxicity levels. So ये कैसे पता चलता है? Multiple methods होते हैं. So I'll not go into the science part of it, scientific detailing of it. But for a basic, preclinical is what preclinical is what happens before testing in the humans. After preclinical, so okay, in my previous video, I have talked about drug uh, development process or life cycle. So within that, कि पहले preclinical होता है and then comes IND, investigational new drug application basically. So it's given to FDA, EMA, CDSCO or any other body जहाँ आपको clinical trial conduct करना. तो preclinical that happens based on the preclinical trials. And this image I have gotten from somewhere from the LinkedIn. I don't know who was the person. So there is no copyright in this. I guess, but if you want to claim, I can add your name to the slide basically. So preclinical हो गया. Preclinical is done. You've submitted an IND. IND submit करने के बाद you have gotten a permission to start a clinical phase. So clinical is basically human trials. जब trial molecule clinic तक पहुंच जाता है when molecule comes and being started dosing to patients or healthy volunteers. Uh, so that's the process. Now after preclinical we have phase one. Phase one is a very important step. So yeah, I usually ask a lot of people how many phases are there, and people tend to tell me there are five phases: preclinical, phase one, phase two, phase three, and phase. So that's completely wrong. First part of it is right. There are five phases, but the second part is wrong. That preclinical is a clinical phase basically. Preclinical itself says it is pre the clinic, before clinic basically. And now, so let's move on to the. Now you'll ask me what are those other five. So there is another phase called phase zero, which I will talk about in the later slides. अभी थोड़ा summary में समझते हैं and then we'll go into the deep dive of each phase basically. Whether you have an oncology, cardiovascular, immunology, infectious disease, uh, product has to go through each phase, basically, all the phases. You must have seen in the COVID times काफी लोगों को क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स के बारे में पता चलने लग गया था ये लग गया आफ्टर कोविड सो यस you know so if your memory serves well then yes that is what clinical trials are. Phase zero is another phase. It's after preclinical phase zero. But it is not done in all patients basically. I'll tell you where it is at. Then comes phase one, which is basically mandatory. One has to go through phase one. Then after that is phase two, and then phase three, and then phase four. But a trick part is that companies can apply for approval of the product after phase three basically. So they can file an NDA, new drug application, BLA, biological licensing application uh, with FDA or EMA. Just for this conversation, let's assume FDA, and they file with FDA. It's called NDA basically, new drug application. Why we call it a new drug application? Because it's an innovative drug. But if in case it's a generic, then you file ANDA, abbreviated new drug application. Then there is then you might ask that biosimilars के लिए क्या फाइल होता है? So unfortunately biosimilars के लिए कोई abbreviated pathway नहीं है. Biosimilars follow the same pathway as biologics, innovative biologics basically. And so yeah, they follow the same pathway. So the application is also called BL. Then there is another application called SBLA, which I would leave it to you to learn, like in homework basically. So just read about SBLA and comment what is SBLA or SNDA basically. Okay, now coming back to this, let's talk about the phases in a very summarized way, and then we'll go into the details. So let's talk about first phase one. Phase one is usually a safety analysis, safety study. Phase one is done in limited population. There is a misconception that phase one is done only in healthy volunteers. No, phase one is done in healthy volunteers, but it also gets done in patients as well. One such example is oncology. Within oncology cases, because uh, cytotoxicity of the drugs are higher. So hence, healthy volunteers are not exposed to the to these agents basically. Uh, uh, and phase one is conducted in the patients basically. So yeah. Uh, so one exception of phase one not being healthy volunteer is oncology. Apart from that, there are other situations also. So yeah, talking about phase one, it is done in a small population, like let's say 50, 70, maximum 100 patients basically. Study evaluates the safety of the drug. It takes months basically to complete the study. And it assess immunogenicity, tolerability, PKPD, PG. Sorry, PKPD is pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, pharmacogenomics. So yeah, these parameters are assessed during phase one. And then we try to take different kind of populations. So you can see here I have the image of red and an orange man or person basically. So okay, when the product passes from phase one, should gives good results. Uh, Another thing is multiple doses are being assessed in phase one. Uh, okay, so once two does this happen, and then it moves to phase two. Phase two is safety and dosing. It's done in a bigger population, maybe 100 to 200 or maximum 300 patients. It takes several months, sometime a year or so. In phase two, it further evaluates the safety. Again, at every stage, you will find that safety is being evaluated at every stage. So in phase two, also safety is being assessed. Side effects or adverse events are being monitored. Um, we also assess few doses because multiple doses are being assessed in phase one. So from those multiple doses, few are selected and these few are being assessed in phase two also, that which drugs give the maximum, better outcome with better safety. Um, and obviously, the trial also checks the efficacy in some way, but more focus is given on the dosing and the safety of the drug. Uh, because the population number is higher, then obviously that diversity is included or taken care of. Sometime phase two, another important thing is phase ones are usually, again, I'm not saying that it's confirmed, sorry, it's mandatory, but phase ones are usually single centered or single site specific, or a single state specific or country specific also. But phase twos are usually multi-site, multi-country, uh, because we want to include a lot of diversity. Then we have phase three. Phase three is a broader trial, is a very bigger trial. In case of bigger indications like NSCLC, diabetes, Patient sizes are very big, like maybe 3,000 patients or something. But for it, so basically the patient population ranges from maybe 500 to it could go to some cases 10,000. I still remember there was this trial, um, DAPA DAPA CKD. Yeah, DAPA CKD, which was assessing DAPA glucosid, and this trial was being conducted in 1,000 patients or something. Um, so sorry, 10,000 patients, not 1,000 patients. Sorry, 10,000 patients. I'm very sorry. Today I have a cold, so a lot of things are being okay. So phase three checks the efficacy, safety, diversity is obviously utmost importance because we want to see bigger populations how how better the drug is doing in different population sizes. It assesses the effectiveness, which is efficacy. Efficacy's parameters are different from for each kind of therapy area. So in the next video, when I'll be talking about the clinical trials, I'll be showing you examples of the clinical trials. At that point of time, I'll show you few criterias. Then obviously safety is monitored. So and then from phase two, we have already gotten which dose is the best dose. कौन सी डोज सबसे अच्छी है तो ये सबसे ऑप्टिमम रिजल्ट दे रही है so the keyword is optimum. Optimum result दे रही है we we kind of take that dose and assess it in the phase three. So that makes phase two and phase three. Phase three was always important, and phase one was also important. People sometimes used to ask me that why what is the importance of phase two. So that's the important that it is a dose defining phase basically. In few cases, yes, those could have been defined in phase one also. But again, in the major cases, phase two happens to be the dose defining phase. Now, a very important thing because I was talking about biosimilars, so I wanted to tell you very quick two three important things. So सबसे पहली चीज जब हम एक एनसीई एक न्यू केमिकल एंटिटी या एक न्यू नोवल ड्रग की बात करते हैं तो उस केस में प्रोडक्ट फॉलोज 1 2 3 स्मॉल मॉलिक्यूल की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो फेज 1 2 3 होता है बट वेयर एज अगर हम जेनरिक्स की बात करें तो जेनरिक्स में जो है कुछ केसेस में the important those cases mentioned are complex generics जो होते हैं ये complex molecules होते हैं इनकी complex generics बनते हैं in generics, we might have to do some sort of a patient study to prove the efficacy or the similarity between the product or the copy of the product. But usually, generic में PKPD analysis करके and product की chemical because उसकी effectiveness उसकी patent sorry उसकी innovative drug में already proof कर रखी है. So, SND, sorry, the ANDA is being filed and उसमें ट्रायल की जरूरत नहीं होती है. Whereas अगर हम बायोलॉजिक्स की बात करें, so बायोलॉजिक्स के केस में अगेन फेज 1 2 3 होता है इनोवेटिव बायोलॉजी के केस में, but if you are filing for a biosimilar, then in that case, phase 2 is exempted. The reason dosing पहले से defined है कि क्या dosing optimum dosing थी. So dosing is defined. So इसलिए phase 2 is exempted. You companies usually do phase 1 and phase 3. Not usually, company has to do phase 1 and phase 3. Sometimes companies what they do is they continue they continue with the phase 1 by 2, 1 by 3 basically. And you'll see those examples, and I'll show you those examples as well. Okay, so that's phase 1 2 and 3. After phase 3, data is being collected, statistical analysis happen. The product a dossier is submitted with FDA, which is called either NDA, BLA, SBLA, SNDA, or ANDA. Okay. So yeah, with FDA it is being submitted, and FDA takes up a decision. Uh, there are multiple meetings, so it takes usually FDA takes usually 10 to 12 months in case of innovative drug, and then both kind of biologics and biosimilars, 10 to 12 months on a on a general basis, and also it sometimes takes uh, some lesser time also, and these are called accelerated cases, which I'll talk about in some other video, but a designation called as accelerated phase. Then, once they get approval, they start they start doing post-market surveillance for phase 4 or PMS study, basically. So there is a big role, very important role of post-marketing surveillance or PMS studies or phase 4 studies. They check, they continue to monitor the safety and efficacy of, specifically safety, but also efficacy in the broader audience, in the bigger audience. And again, someone might think that phase 4 is not that important. But no, phase 4 is actually utmost importance for a pharma company because, uh, you know, if pharma company is planning to decide molecules life cycle, then this phase 2 is a very important phase. Phase 4 is a very important phase, basically. So we'll talk about it later as well. Okay. So this is an overview of these 5 phases or 6 phases, 5 phases plus preclinical. Now moving on. So this is also one another representation I've gotten from online, that very fundamentally, clinical trial phases. Phase 1, test multiple doses, focused on safety. Outcome is moved to phase 2 if safe. Then phase 2, large patient group, focuses on safety, efficacy, and dosing. Outcome moves to phase 3 if beneficial. Phase 3, largest study, the biggest study, focus is basically getting regulatory approval. Outcome moves to regulatory approval if successful. Then come phase 4, which is broader audience, focuses post-marketing study. Outcome, long-term safety and efficacy की study. So, long-term, किसी भी trial में एक time duration होता है कि, patient is being assessed in for 10 months, 12 months, 2 years. बट उसके भी और नहीं जाता. So this helps clinical trial phases. Phase 4 helps in monitoring the long-term effect of a particular drug. And there have been cases where, long-term effect have proven to be uh, not so good for the product, and then company has to withdraw the product. Now moving on. So, okay. So I'm in the next slide. I'm going to discuss about what's the difference between preclinical phase 0 and phase 1. So as I've already written, preclinical studies is focused on non-human testing. It ensures it ensures that the drug is safe for the human trial, basically. Phase 0 is an exploratory human study using very low doses or micro doses to gain early data and how the drug behaves in the body. So PKPD analysis, absorption, ADME, basically. Phase 1 involves small human groups, determines the drug safety, dose range before it moves to larger efficacy study. So I also want to discuss a little bit about the microdosing. It's a technique which is used in phase 0. Um, it helps companies monitor or assess the behavior of the drug in a patient population in human body, basically. Usually it's done in healthy volunteers and again, very small dose is tested to check the absorption and dissociation, ADME basically do an ADME analysis. So yeah, phase zero whereas served as a so yeah, I've already spoken about it. So here I have created a a difference between what is the difference between preclinical phase zero and phase one. So in terms of purpose, I've already told you preclinical is safety and biological activities. Phase zero is prelim data, PKPD, and phase one is safety dose range and side effects in women. Whereas in terms of subjects, in terms of population, um, obviously I told you preclinical is animal, which is in vivo, and in test tubes and in vitro. I'll talk about something very interesting also after this. Uh, Phase zero is conducted in healthy volunteers in most of the cases. Um, uh, in night, yeah, in most of the cases. Uh, Whereas phase one is it done in, again healthy volunteers, small group, but as I've already told you, in few cases we go for patients first. Now focus is जो study मतलब basically जो trial है उसका क्या focus है? तो obviously preclinical में toxicity, pharmacology and efficacy है in non-human subjects, whereas uh, in phase zero, it's ADME, which I've already told you, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. Um, Phase one is basically finding maximum tolerated dose. मतलब इसमें maximum tolerated dose को अगर हम define करें, at the name suggests कि हम कितना टॉलरेट कर पाते हैं बॉडी एडवर्स इवेंट्स कब देने शुरू करते हैं आफ्टर विच डोज मैक्सिमम एडवर्स इवेंट्स हैपन तो वी चेक एमटीडी बेसिकली दिस इज कॉल्ड मैक्सिमम टॉलरेटेड डोज ड्यूरेशन प्रीक्लिनिकल काफी टाइम लंबा होता है मतलब इट टेक्स मंथ्स एंड इयर्स बिकॉज मल्टीपल टेस्टिंग्स आर बीइंग डन multiple way. Then phase zero is short and it's done in few weeks, days to be weeks. When the phase zero ऐसे बहुत छोटा सा होता है. Phase one is typically several months, but again less than a year basically usually happens. Because again it's a single site also, तो इस वजह से भी ये छोटा रहता है. Then comes dosing. वो मैं बहुत बता चुका हूँ उसके सब थेरेपेटिक डोजेस होती हैं फेज जीरो में और ग्रेजुअल डोज बढ़ाई जाती है फेज वन में और ग्रेजुअल डोजेस दी जाती हैं मल्टीपल डोजेस इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेगुलेटरी रोल सो it's important phase sorry preclinical is important because it's required before human testing. Phase zero is important because it helps us, assess the human behavior or the behavior of drug in the human, basically rather, and helps us be more confident for phase one. Um, Phase one की importance वही है phase two में use करने के लिए endpoints are usually preclinical में safety, mechanism of action, potential efficacy in animals. Exploratory endpoints होते हैं phase zero में like PK and PD. Then phase one में जो होता है वो safety profile होता है. Success criteria क्या है? You can read this. I don't want to read more. So you can read this. Now, in the next slide, I have tried to compare preclinical versus clinical and post-marketing surveillance. So preclinical, we've clearly defined. Clinical, we have clearly defined. Whereas post-marketing is an ongoing, it's a regular monitoring. It's a very long and regular monitoring of safety and efficacy. और ऐसा नहीं है it starts and decide कि general population होता है. one can start taking a drug from buy them from the market or the dispensary or the pharmacy, and you start taking it if you feel there is any adverse, usually on the box or with the label एक नंबर आता है, बिकॉज यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एफडीए, तो एफडीए के नंबर्स होते हैं जहां पर आप रजिस्टर करवा सकते हैं, ठीक है, सेफ्टी कंसर्न्स को बेसिकली. So that's the difference. I'll just quickly take a 1 minute. You guys read it, and then I'll explain the important bits of it. Meanwhile, I'll just okay. तो सबसे पहले मेन डिफरेंस के बारे में बात करते हैं, विच इज सब्जेक्ट्स. जीरो प्रीक्लिनिकल में एनिमल मॉडल्स होता है, क्लिनिकल में ह्यूमन सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं, बट इन अ कंट्रोल्ड एनवायरनमेंट. whereas फेज 4 में और प्री मार्केट सर्विलेंस में फोकस जो होता है जनरल पॉपुलेशन में होता है और स्पेसिफिक आफ्टर देन ड्यूरेशन की गोल्स नॉट टॉक बहुत ज्यादा बात कर चुके हैं. हाँ, important goal which is about the phase 4, it's as you can see tracking the long term safety. Adverse events not observed during the trials basically, क्योंकि देखो बहुत सारी चीजें there comes a lot of differences. ट्रायल था 18 से 65 की एज में, मे बी उन्होंने 500 पेशेंट्स लिए. सो 18 टू 65 इज अ वेरी लॉन्ग रेंज ऑफ पेशेंट्स. एज मेल फीमेल का रेशियो भी समटाइम डिफाइन नहीं हो पाता है, ठीक है. देन देयर आर मल्टीपल सिचुएशंस, जैसे नो फॉर एग्जांपल ट्रायल तो चल रहा है अल्जाइमर्स का, लेट्स से, ठीक है, एंड दे हैव टेकन पेशेंट्स अक्रॉस द एजेस एंड एवरीथिंग, बट पूरे ट्रायल में कोई भी पेशेंट ऐसा नहीं था जो स्मोक करता, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. I'm randomly picking this up. But drug has a counter effect, ठीक है, when you smoke, let's just say that. So phase 4 में आप जो लोग हैं जनरल पॉपुलेशन यूज करना शुरू कर रहे हैं, when I say general population, again it's Alzheimer patients only. Obviously healthy human won't take an Alzheimer drug. तो Alzheimer patients कर लेंगे, बट हो सकता है उन Alzheimer patients में से कोई एक जो है, कुछ patients जो है वो स्मोक करते हैं, तो उससे वर्सेटैलिटी का पता चलेगा कि अगर उन्होंने कोई सेफ्टी कंसर्न्स रिपोर्ट करे तो कंपनीज विल गेट टू नो कि अच्छा जो लोग स्मोकिंग कर रहे हैं और उनको अल्जाइमर्स है, उनके लिए ड्रग ये इफेक्ट करते हैं, एंड दैट इफेक्ट कुड बी गुड आल्सो एंड बैड आल्सो. गुड कैन बी कि जो स्मोक करते थे उनकी स्मोकिंग छूटने लग गई, उनको लंग्स में प्रॉब्लम था, चल रहा था, मतलब आई डोंट नो, खांसी बहुत आती थी, and all that, but the side effect of the drug becomes कि उनकी खांसी कम हो गई या उनकी स्मोकिंग छूट गई या और कुछ भी हो सकता है benefit, ठीक है. One such example is a very famous example, but we'll talk about it later. तो okay, डेटा कलेक्टेड, मैंने आपको बता दिया प्रीक्लिनिकल में पीके, टॉक्सिसिटी लेवल्स एंड साइड इफेक्ट्स इन एनिमल्स कवर होते हैं. क्लिनिकल में हम लोग बात कर चुके हैं. फेज 4 में बेसिकली एडवर्स ड्रग रिएक्शंस होते हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म आउटकम्स होते हैं, एंड एफिकेसी भी होती है इन डिफरेंट डेमोग्राफिक्स बेसिकली. कॉस्ट कॉस्ट वाइज प्रीक्लिनिकल ऑब्वियसली बहुत कम कॉस्टली होता है, लेस एक्सपेंसिव होता है. Whereas clinical is highly expensive, with most expensive one, and within clinical, phase three is the most expensive one basically. The reason is multi-central, multi-country, and lot of blue tape and lot of things are required. Whereas post-marketing surveillance is more focused. It's moderate cost because sometimes you do not need to even start monitoring it. People, uh, report it on their own choice, basically. Okay. Examples. Example is a very important thing here. Animal studies में toxicity और in vitro assays होते हैं, ठीक है, और animal studies होता है. Clinical trial में आपका you know that, ठीक है. uh, sure. Okay. पोस्ट मार्केट सर्विलेंस में एडवर्स प्रिवेंट्स रिस्क मैनेजमेंट वगैरह होता है. रेगुलेटरी ऑथराइजेशन नो डायरेक्टली this. I think, yeah, you know all about that. So moving on. Okay, a very important thing. So अभी मैंने आपको 10 मिनट पहले ही बताया कि there are three phases: phase one, phase two, phase three. But you know, these phases are also further divided. So phase one, and these are divided into A and B. Phase A and B. So phase one is divided into phase one A, one B. Two in phase two, phase two A, two B. Phase three, three A, three B. Okay. So, and it's not compulsory that companies do um, like this one, two, sorry, A, B kind of way. They sometimes what most of the time what happens is the trials is phase one, phase two, phase three, or in other cases it's phase one by two, uh, two by three. In biosimilars cases it becomes one by three also. But in few cases it becomes phase 1A is done. Then phase 1B is combined with phase 2A. Or all these trials are done in different way. In different trials, basically. Okay. So yeah, that is done. Now, in terms of summary, you can read this. Phase 1A is first in human safety tolerability, PK/PD, data and healthy volunteers. Phase 1B is, it's usually the expansion of phase 1A. So, even if the company is conducting phase 1A and 1B, what they do is they define the trial as 1A, 1B. Okay. It's done in patients with the target disease, and safety and early efficacy is being assessed. Phase 2 is efficacy testing, dose finding, 2A. Most effective dose range is defined. Phase 2 is larger trial confirm safety and efficacy, and that's it. Yeah. Phase 3A, big trial, efficacy, reliability, suppression, and everything. Then phase 3B is done. Sorry. Phase 3B is done, which whose primary aim is to, it's done usually post submission, and its primary aim is to generate a lot of additional data and new population and new indications also. Okay. Again, this is a table. This table is in two parts. In one slide, let's just take a moment and go through this. I'm most probably not going to read much on this. Uh, if someone wants, they can mail me, and I can send them this presentation basically uh, to see. Okay, so yeah. So coming back, fair dosing is an important factor, differentiator, I would say. should, you know, take a good look at the dosing. Study design is also an important factor. Moving on. Now comes the endpoints basically. This is the second part of that same difference. Obviously, first slide का पूरा नहीं आ रहा. Now, one can just go and check out, uh, take a screenshot of this slide, or again, as I said, if you need these slides, just mail me. I will forward it to you. Uh, Okay. So, so far, all about clinical trials is you know it's finished. So now I want to talk about uh, you know one another important factor, which was post-marketing surveillance. I in the initial part I said that I will talk about benefits of post-marketing surveillance because some people think it's a useless thing. I asked this question to the students कि अगर फेज 3 कर लिया है प्रोडक्ट अप्रूव हो गया है why do we need phase 4? Okay, how it add value, how it adds value to our, it add values to our life in terms of, as a pharma company. So I'll tell you the important reasons. See, phase 4 is very, very important. The reason one, we are closely monitoring all the adverse events. So, black box warning can be updated. And I've already spoken about black box warning. जब मैंने PI prescriber information label का basically को define किया था for a drug in the drug video. तो अभी we spoke about PI. तो PI पर black box warning डाली जाती. Sometimes those warnings we get the data or idea during the trials, but sometimes you'll see that black box warning has been put in after the drug got approval, like 4, 5, 6 after years after that. The reason is how do they get to know? They get to know from the adverse reactions. Okay, you should not be mixing alcohol with this kind of drug, or it could be a disease. Okay. Now, why it is beneficial? It's the reason sometimes it becomes very beneficial is because companies get a lot of data, and again, we have already said this thing. Data is the new oil. So companies get a lot of data from phase 4 trial. They kind of get the patient's data. They get uh, the results and a lot of other things. So and sometimes these results or these adverse events reactions or efficacy, counter efficacy, even side effects sometimes helps company create a go-to-market strategy or extension strategy of the present strategy. The reason is see, I'll tell you. Hmm. So I'll tell you. See, what happens is आपने data collect करा. You got to know कि अरे जो ये XYZ patients है, like for example हमने Alzheimer's का example लिया था. Let's continue with that example. Alzheimer's में early onset dementia के patients भी होते हैं. जो early onset के भी होते हैं. ठीक है. So like for example, the drug got approved for early onset. Let's just say that. But when it was started getting prescribed, ये late onset patients ने भी लिया. या जो लोग early onset थे, मैं ये एक product X को लेना शुरू करा. And धीरे धीरे they become late onset. And उसमें देखा कि उसमें भी उनको benefit मिल रहा है. So in those cases, sometimes happens कि यार हम जो है you know, late onset में भी trials कर लेते हैं, and then we will get an approval in that as well. So off-label, prescription नहीं होगा. So I've already spoken about off-label prescriptions as well. So yeah, so this is motamoti a summary of what are clinical trials. In my next video, I'm going to talk about clinicaltrial.gov as a resource, as a very amazing platform for data collection and for intelligence gathering, basically. So this was important because unless you know the basics, uh, वो difficult हो जाता है. And I have seen people working in consulting for 4 years, and they don't know this basically uh, in terms of you know clinical trials, basically. So yeah. So again, I'm very sorry. Pardon me if you have been seeing me uh, like this, but वीडियो बनाना था और मेरी तबीयत सही नहीं चल रही है 2-3 दिन से, एंड ऑब्वियसली मेरे घर पर so yeah, that's that. So ठीक है. So I'll come up with the next video next Sunday. Meanwhile, I have few good videos lined up. Like for example, interview tips and tricks, which I have posted last week, I think, for freshers. This coming Thursday, I'll probably be posting about uh, video on interview tips for young professionals. Then I have a very interesting video. Uh, उसके लिए मैं अभी प्रीव्यू नहीं बताऊंगा. वो भी एक करियर स्पेसिफिक. सो अब तक ये समझ में आ गया होगा कि थर्सडेज को आई पुट इन वीडियोस व्हिच आर मोर ऑफ अ सीवी ओरिएंटेड, करियर ओरिएंटेड, वैसे वाला generic kind of videos, and then Sundays को मैं these tutorial videos निकालता हूँ. तो Thursday के लिए there's a very amazing video which is coming up, maybe not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday to that. It's a very interesting video. I would really recommend सब देखना please उसको, and I'll try to shorten it, but yeah, वो एक बहुत ही amazing video है जिसका reference लिया है वो भी बहुत अच्छा है. So fair check out that as well. Without further ado, okay, so आपको मुझे काफी झेल दिया. So I would say I would take your leave now. Thank you. Keep writing to me, keep messaging me, or mailing me, or in the comments. Please कुछ questions पूछिए और कुछ अच्छे questions पूछिए rather than sending them to me on a direct email. Please send questions on. Please put it on chat. Sorry, in comment, because comment पे आएंगे तो मतलब मैं real time basis पे reply कर सकता. Someone asked me to create presentation, so मैंने ये आज एक presentation slide बनाया basically. I know the slide is not very savvy और बहुत ही सुंदर दिखने वाली नहीं है, but it solves my purpose. Plus मैं basic level की slides बनाना चाह रहा था. That's what I did. So thank you once again. Have a good weekend or have a good day, and keep studying, keep learning, keep upskilling yourself. Have a nice day. Bye bye.